Hello,
Hi.
this is Chloe, special guest who's going to join us today for basically just like going through the difficulties you faced over the last month and a bit and what kind of changes have been made in your little life. So if you'd like to share your experience, that'll be amazing.
Yes. Well, when I met you, Tom, which was actually a couple months ago, I was going through quite a transition. Coming back home after years of being away, dealing with, um, you know, personal and professional um, questioning of everything. There were certain issues that came up again as I came back home with the family dynamics, and also as I made a general point in my life. There were definite moments um, of guilt, and self doubt because you just sort of look at your life as a whole and has been um, what has been achieved and the lessons that you learned as well in the past. However, this was very much a turning point. So when you came in with your tools and advice, uh, it helped me work through some things and um, certain patterns also of behavior that I still carried with me. So I guess where do you wanna? Where should we start?
When I first met you, you were having some. You seemed very agitated, and the definition of agitated is like overwhelmed, excited, confused, irritable, and it just didn't look very comfortable how I saw how you were
Yeah.
operating. And you told me that you were struggling with shame and guilt, and you're really, really hard on yourself, like so hard on yourself that you didn't actually want to, you know, pursue things, even though you had the expectation and the pressure from your family to deliver because they weren't happy with where you are.
Yeah.
But realistically, it doesn't really matter. It's your life, and that was what's important. Um, and I think when you realise that, it freed up a lot of space. You felt like a lot of
Yes.
pressure had been released.
Yes. That's true because it made me realize that first of all, it's not a mountain you climb. It's small steps that are taken with a lot of patience and forgiveness towards ourselves to also understand that the journey, whatever it is, has taken us here and there is still time and possibilities, and to be able to work through small, diligent um, patterns of behavior instead of putting this much pressure to actually get to a state of an ideal state of being that is at the end of the day a lifelong a lifelong journey. So to be able to take into account the little things every day and to be able to move even just a little bit forward. Yes. And it's true. You made me realize that um, self pressure. It's actually more. It's actually it actually impedes growth, and it's much more interesting to work through just self forgiveness, just forgiveness, and um, patience and tools, and to not necessarily ruminate and overthink and stay in that guilt of I should have, could have, to be just able to remove all that and focus on what you can do,
Which is
which is small steps towards. Um, well, first of all, you made me realize that self care is important. So that goes through what we nourish ourselves, how we nourish ourselves, how we move our bodies, how we actually talk to ourselves, and also to our family and our loved ones, to go about it with more grace and patience and understanding that everybody's actually coming from their own pain, to remove also the um, the defensiveness and the shaming ourselves and others, and to really um, sort of focus on small and considerate approaches.
great.
Yeah. So I have um, found myself, um, you know, um, taking a membership, being more conscious in how I actually listen to others and my family, and how I actually stay with what I'm feeling instead of bursting out with emotions and feeling like I am being pointed at. Just to kind of let that simmer and um, let it go.
Is that is this a new process to you?
Well, it is because I would feel very, I could feel cornered, and I could feel like some um, criticism would be directed at me. So now taking it with more, um, with more distance helps for sure.
Okay, sounds like it's been very useful.
It has, it has, yes. And to also release my own expectations and my family's expectations and the world's expectations, to really just unload that baggage of pressure and guilt and shame, to just actually shift that perspective and forgive yourself and do what you can with consecutive, concrete um, goals.
And like from when we first met, you've created space between yourself and things which cause you discomfort, which are the things you spoke about, and you've actually moved away to live on your own, to be a bit more independent. You're now starting a new business,
Mm-hmm.
which is great, and you're focusing on your health more,
Mm-hmm.
which is really good, and taking, like you said, being more present in your days. Because we
Yes.
understood that at one time, we were having some difficulties with gratification.
Yes.
And this is not just like from yourself. I think it's from people like myself and a lot of men and women have the same problem. Um, but that's the thing, is that it doesn't define us. There's acceptance and approval from others.
Mm.
I don't know if you want to talk about how you popped that bubble.
Yes. Well, yeah, like you said, acceptance and approval and validation from others really it comes after you feel yourself that you have that self validation first. And it's a hard bubble to pop. However, you kind of go through it day by day. You try to make things, you try to do things a little bit better one day at a time, and to also hold yourself more, more diligent and more accountable to yourself first, because that's actually ultimately the perspective that changes everything.
Yeah.
Is how you view yourself.
Yeah.
And usually afterwards, things outside will tend to also align to how you view yourself and how actually more at peace with what you're doing, and you feel more acknowledgement because of how you portray yourself and what you do to
How you see
actually
yourself.
and
See yourself in a different place compared to where you're.
and what you do to actually, yeah, make things happen. But still with a lot of patience and grace, because it's a process.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's the hard bit. Like people with ADHD, which me and you have, we're very impatient, we're very reactive, we get frustrated easily. Our memory and our thoughts don't really organize themselves as quickly as our mind thinks, and then we actually can't slow down those thoughts, and we end up getting stuck in rumination if we've had a negative experience around that moment. And that in itself is something I'm still struggling with, but it helps when you're kind and you're kind to yourself, and like you put in those steps in bit by bit, and you realize that it's not a race to the end, and just changing the perspective and how you perceive things really helps with these areas of panic and being overwhelmed and anxious, and then getting out of depression because you're obviously moving your body and you're seeing yourself differently, and you're not being irritable as much because you're learning on that, and you end up self-soothing and self-regulating yourself because, well, you didn't get it from a past relationship or your family, or you don't have the tools to do it. And when you start implementing those tools, it'll really help you have a bit more of a functional day-to-day process.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I do like that word self-regulation, because you actually can only really regulate yourself. And
Your dad, your family's not going to do it right now because they don't understand how to do it.
nobody can do it. Yeah.
Majority of the people who have labels or struggles are just dysregulated. They're in dysregulated state, and there's a funny thing where people want to be heard and seen. Those words come under the definition of co-regulating.
True.
So the child wants to be heard and seen, but that actually comes from co-regulation, from the parent, from the partner. That's just something we've missed as adults, as humans. Hasn't been taught.
Yeah.
Like they don't teach you, hey, you need to co-regulate with your son. And even if you try and co-regulate, the parent is not attuned anyway because they've got their old trauma, their own energies blocked, so they're not actually truly present. And the energy just rubs off onto your children, onto your friends, and body's really big for that. You can pick up on people's energy pretty quickly, and whether or not you're going to be a good fit, and you can choose to walk away or stay. Depends, right? And that's another topic. Where when you're in a negative space, you're drawn more to negativity because you don't know what, like, you're only used to that toxic energy. Depression, anxiety, panic. It just attracts that. So when you're actually calm and peaceful, and you understand and you're attuned to yourself, you actually pick up on the people you want to be around or have similarities to. Hence why this works. So I hope you enjoyed the live. It was my first one. Should we give a round of applause to Chloe? For doing a good job, even though we're just talking to a screen with one person watching. Thank you for watching, whoever you are.
Thank you.
I hope you liked the live. Please drop us a comment or visit my website if you want some free resources. There's a scan QR code at the bottom of the screen. The free resources are based around ADHD, which is overthinking, anger, anxiety, depression, to basically navigate that.
Yeah.
Feel free to drop me a message on my socials, and I'll see you next week for another webinar for free. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Can't turn off now.
Bye. That was sweet.
I can't end it. It's still live.
Little technical issue.
I have a bit of a technical issue here, guys. Just bear with me. It won't stop. That's annoying.
No, it's
I actually can't stop the live.
really
Yeah, look.
interesting.